Yes, most of us are aware of a good news story being preached that's all about Jesus and not to take anything away from Jesus. But have you heard that the last rays of light to a dying world would be all about the loving character of God? God the Father, that is. So, would that be suggesting that there just might be a story behind the story? If so, is it possible for us to reason together about what that might be? By the way, I'm Ed Sager, a cabinet maker by trade and a teacher of Christ and Him crucified, while at the same time spending the early hours of over 30 years writing about a gospel from Christ, the good news that Jesus came to give, which has led me on an amazing journey, an eye-opener to reality like you wouldn't believe. And one of the first things that came into view that seems to have been overlooked for some odd reason is that sin and rebellion began with Lucifer in the heavenly control center and not with Adam and Eve. Did you get that? Rebellion against God didn't begin with Adam and Eve. So why is it that we don't begin our story about salvation from the beginning? Thought-provoking, wouldn't you agree? So after learning more about the details of that question, it seemed as if I had walked into a movie a half hour late where I could have missed the whole plot. Then another one that was as astonishing as if it had come from a 12-year-old boy named Jesus, if you know what I mean, for it was truly astonishing to learn that there was more to the good news story that for some reason was being held back. Then one morning, as I was into the book of John 16:12, something Jesus said simply jumped off of the page at me. As he said, he had more to tell us, but not yet. Because, for some reason, he said we weren't ready to handle it. Well, with all the current evidence pointing to the end of our time, do you suppose it could be time for the rest of the story that Jesus was holding back? So in sorting all this out, a huge puzzle began to come together, connecting many thought-provoking questions that I had wondered about my whole life. It was as if I was on the edge of my seat in discovering hidden treasure or something. I seemed to be driven by a force outside of myself to share a story that without a doubt is a story behind the story. So I must tell you that I've been shown and have recorded in print as well as in audio many awesome, shocking revelations about the character of our most gracious God that's simply not talked about in the mainstream. Why? Well, I've also been shown that the great deceiver has been allowed by God to deceive and roam the earth for a very important godly reason. Remember, Jesus did say he was holding something back. But don't get angry as Jonah did upon discovering that God's ways of redeeming us just might be shockingly different and far less complicated than we've made it out to be. So prepare yourself to be astonished at the ways of God as he steps up to pay the latecomers the same as you and me. And you may also be astonished in discovering that our alleged superior ways to heaven over others was allowed by God in order to reveal to us that possessing a spirit of superiority, as Lucifer did, is a downward path to destruction. So, if these thoughts resonate with any amount of enlightenment, the next logical question should be, are we sure we know God? Could there be another side to this diamond? Could it really be possible that the pearl of great value is yet to be found? For it would surely be a sobering thought to be among the 5 foolish that thought themselves to be rich and in need of nothing, as they were told, sorry, but I don't know you. By the way, weren't they the ones that refused to fill the vessels of their mind with some extra oil? So with that being said, do you suppose there really could be a story behind the story worthy of investigation? For after all, the formula for life eternal has been recorded as simply knowing God, John 17:3. So just maybe it really could be time to think, don't you think? See you next time.